Dear students, today we are going to discuss about simulation teaching. Coming to the introduction, simulation technique is a method not new to education or training. This technique was first applied to the classroom in 1968 in England by the ESSO students' business game. However, the use of simulation technique spread to secondary and tertiary education, with the initial development taking place in teacher training and social sciences. Most of the early educational developments in the field of simulation were of American origin, mainly for use in the teaching of social sciences such as geography, international relations, and urban development. During the 1970s, however, simulation technique spread to an ever-increasing range of other subjects, and from about 1970 onwards, they started to be used in the teaching of science. Zuckerman and Horn in 1970 considered that simulations perhaps are the fastest growing new method of instruction. There is a widespread utilization of simulation technique in the pre-service and in-service preparation of teacher. The concept of simulation. Simulate means to obtain the essence of, without the reality. That is, simulations do not have to look like the real-life counterparts, but they have to act like the real thing. Gatskov defined simulation as an operating representation of control features of reality. Thus, simulation has both real-life elements and the represented elements of real life. In other words, simulation is a role-playing teaching strategy in which learner performs the role in an artificially enacted environment. It can be said that simulation is a caricature in that some of the attributes of real life which are not realistically represented may make the representation appear as a distortion or magnification or exaggeration. When students use a model of behavior to gain a better understanding of that behavior, they are doing a simulation. For example, when students are assigned roles as buyers and sellers of some good and are asked to strike deals to exchange the goods, they are learning about market behavior by simulating a market. When students take on roles of party delegates to a political convention and run the model of convention, they are learning about the election process by simulating a political convention. When students create an electric circuit with an online program, they are learning about physics theory by simulating an actual physical setup. Now let's see what simulated teaching is. Simulated teaching is a training technique used to change the behavior of the student teacher. It is also known as simulated social skill of teaching. It is used before the practice of class teaching. It is a role-playing technique. The student teacher plays the role of pupils and teachers. One person acts as a teacher and the others act as students, and some as observers in the class. Small topics are taught as in micro-teaching, whose teaching duration ranges from 5 to 10 minutes. A discussion on the teaching method and teaching tactics takes place after the teaching span. After this discussion, another pupil comes to the blackboard for teaching and a cycle is repeated again. The feedback that the student teacher receives from his teaching helps him to modify his behavior. Thus, desirable behavior can be achieved through role-playing in the artificial classroom situations. Simulated teaching can best be defined as role-playing, in which the process of teaching is displayed artificially and an effort is made to practice some important skills of communication through this technique. The student teacher simulates particular role of a person or actual life situations. The whole program thus becomes training in role perception and role playing. Now, some of the basic assumptions of simulated teaching. The general idea of simulation is to place a person in a situation which provides spontaneous interaction to see if he can practice producing certain patterns of behavior. If this situation happens to be teaching, then simulation is called simulated teaching. The basic assumptions underlying simulated teaching are: Number 1, teaching behaviors can be identified. Number 2, behavior of pupil-teacher can be modified by two methods, that is, by the use of role perception and by the use of actual role-playing. The third assumption is that the behavior essential for effective teaching can be drilled. Number 4, feedback mechanism works in the modification of pupil-teacher's behavior. Number 5, social skills can be communicated. Number 6, teacher behavior is modifiable by use of feedback devices. Number 7, there are certain social communication skills of teacher behavior which are essential for effective teaching. These social skills should be modified by feedback devices. Number 8, through role-playing, the psychological appreciation of classroom problems will grow and develop in the student teacher, a basis for handling the problems in the class. Let's now see the simulated teaching and teacher education. Simulated teaching is usually used in teacher education. It is employed before sending pupil teachers to actual teaching. It helps in developing social skills among the pupil teachers. Simulation, as mentioned before, means role-playing or rehearsal in which the process of teaching is carried out artificially. It is based on sociodrama. The main aspect of simulation in teaching is the introduction of a student teacher to teaching under non-stressful conditions. It is defined as a mechanism of feedback device to induce certain desirable behavior among pupil teacher by role-playing of the teacher in their own group or as an artificial situation of classroom teaching. According to Schenk, pupil teacher has to play 3 roles. That's the role of the teacher, the pupil, and the observer. In simulated teaching, student teachers are put in the classroom situation to learn to teach on their own instead of lecturing them about the classroom teaching. One of the student teachers acts as a teacher and the others as students belonging to some class at school stage. There should be minimum 5 to 7 student teachers who are to practice a social skill. It can be diagrammatically represented as the one who teaches is called an actor. 2 students act as observers and the trainees 2 to 4 who play the role of students are called foils. Coming to the procedure, Flanders has recommended 6 steps for using simulated teaching exercise. They are: number 1, assignments; number 2, selection of the skill and topic; number 3, predetermined syntax of the drama; number 4, deciding the procedure of evaluation; number 5, conduct practice session; and number 6, to appraise and redesign the simulation. Let's now elaborate the 6 steps in detail. Step 1, that is assignments. Each student teacher in the group is assigned a number or letter. A system is built up to rotate the roles so that each individual gets a chance to be an actor, foil, and observer. Step 2, selection of the skill and topic. The group decides and discusses the skill to be practiced and lists down topics of conversation which suit that skill. Each actor can select a topic from this list that makes him comfortable in his role. Step 3, predetermined syntax of the drama. Here, the sequence of activities in the drama is determined. Decide who will start the conversation and who will stop the interaction and when will it be stopped. Step 4, deciding the procedure of evaluation. In this step, it is decided that what kind of data the observers have to record and how the recording is to be done. Step 5, conduct practice session. The first practice session is conducted and feedback is provided to the actor. If necessary, the procedure may be altered for the next session in order to improve training. When practice sessions start working smoothly and each person has had an opportunity to be an actor, increase the task difficulty by conducting the foils in confidence or by restricting actor's role. Step 6, to appraise and redesign the simulation. Move on to the next skill so as to present a significant challenge to each actor and to keep the interest as high as possible. Now, coming to the advantages and disadvantages of simulated teaching. Let's now first discuss advantages. Number 1, it helps to develop the relationship between theory and practice. Number 2, opportunities are provided to student-teacher to study and analyze teaching problems. Number 3, simulations permit control in the sense that rather than putting the students into laboratory setting, students can be placed in a carefully selected situations. Number 4, simulation training is a successful device to motivate and involve students and change the student-teacher's behavior. Number 5, it provides insight into common individual and group problems and reveals different attitudes and test various ideas in a practical situation. Some of the disadvantages of simulated teaching can be discussed as under. Number 1, awareness of classroom problems is not developed through classroom simulator experience. Number 2, classroom simulation, especially the media-ascended simulation, requires special facility and expensive equipments. Number 3, it cannot be used for the curricula of all the subjects. It has more importance in sciences than it has in social sciences. Number 4, experience gained in artificial training situations may not transfer to the actual teaching experience. Number 5, it is a time-consuming technique in terms of planning, preparation, organization, presentation, and evaluation. In conclusion, we can say that simulated teaching is one of the techniques used in India and other countries for the modification of teacher behavior. The main reason is that simulations constitute a highly versatile and flexible medium whereby a wide range of educational aims and objectives may be achieved. It does provide funny, interesting, and meaningful learning experiences. A well-designed simulation can help to achieve positive transfer of learning. At the end, I would like to wrap up the topic by saying that simulations help to foster content-related cognitive outcomes, non-cognitive skills such as decision-making, communication, and interpersonal skills, and desirable traits such as willingness to listen to other people's point of view or appreciate that most problems can be viewed in a number of different ways. Thus, it may be said that simulations help to bring intense motivation, personal involvement, and high-quality learning into the classroom.